Newsfirst at 9. Headlines.
Good evening and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Katharina Chang from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. Let's start off with a look at your headlines. Captured elephant calf rescued from the Kandamawalawa in Mirigama to be relocated to the Attaturissavana in Udawalawa. Couple who abandoned an infant arrested in Kandy. Military intervention in Ukraine will have its cost, Obama warns Russia. The Attitude exhibition comes to an end. Let's now join the main news desk for details of these stories and much more.
Well, thank you, Kathy. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Nadim Majid. Let's now move on to those stories in detail. An elephant calf who was being kept illegally in the Mirigame area using false documentation has been relocated to the Lunugam-Wehera Wildlife Office after being taken into the custody of wildlife officials. A senior official at the Wildlife Department said that the calf would be taken to the elephant sanctuary in Udawalawa following a health examination.
The 4-year-old elephant calf was discovered at the Kandalamawalawa in Mirigama last evening when the Department of Wildlife Conservation carried out a raid based on a tip-off. It was reported that the inhabitants of the house had fled when the raid was being carried out and that the only person in the house was an employee. Although a document claiming the calf was registered had been presented to wildlife officers, it was later proven to be a fake.
When this calf was registered in 2012, its height was noted as 4 feet 5 inches. However, today the calf's height was 4 feet 7 inches. Over a 2-year period, the calf's height has only increased by an inch. Thereby, it was established that the documents were false and that the calf had been captured from the wild and was being kept inhumanely and was being tamed. We ask that the authorities seize calves that are being kept in this fashion.
Environmentalists say that although the calf was being kept in Mirigama, the address on the permit had been listed as Old Road in Migoda. Wildlife officers say that the calf was in chains when they took it into their custody and had sustained wounds on 3 of its feet. Environmentalists say that wildlife officers also found an adult elephant that was being kept at this residence with false documentation.
Over the recent past, we have revealed through the media that calves are being kept illegally in this way across Sri Lanka. At the same time, several instances where calves were being captured from the wild and were being kept in this manner were also reported. This activity is continuing in the form of a racket.
The 2 elephants that were seized by the wildlife officers have been brought before the Attanagala Additional Magistrate. The Additional Magistrate ordered that the calf be taken to the Attaturissavana Sanctuary in Udawalawa and that the adults be taken to the Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage. We made inquiries from the Mirigama police as to whether the owners of the residence in question had been arrested. A senior officer said that while the police provided security when the 2 elephants were taken into the custody of wildlife officers, further investigations are being carried out by the Department of Wildlife Conservation. Newsfirst made several attempts to contact the Director General of the Department of Wildlife Conservation to inquire into what legal action would be initiated against persons who keep elephants illegally in this manner. Our attempts were not successful. The calf that was taken into the custody of wildlife officers yesterday was brought to the Lunugam-Wehera Wildlife Office today. Wildlife veterinarian Dr. W.A. Dharmakirti said that as the elephant had been held in a domestic setting, it would be tested for diseases like tuberculosis prior to being taken to the Attaturissavana Sanctuary in Udawalawa. Numerous instances where unregistered elephant calves were discovered in various locations. Elephant calf taken into custody of wildlife officials when being transported from one temple to another. Deputy Minister Buddha Sasana reveals that 63 elephant calves have been stolen from forest areas adjoining Habarana. Wildlife officials discover a chained elephant in Konwaba Mahava. Wildlife officers rescued 3 elephant calves who were chained in a shrubbery area in Hambantota. Environmentalists charge that wildlife officials remain silent while over 22 elephant calves have been stolen from the wild. Elephant data book on domesticated elephants misplaced from the Ministry of Wildlife. Is there a direct link between the disappearance of the elephant data book and the elephants that are being domesticated without permits? Won't the stealing of elephant calves worsen the human-elephant conflict? For your attention.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited Anuradhapura today to obtain the blessings of the historic Jayashree Mahabodhi.
After obtaining the blessings of the sacred Bodri, the President also engaged in cordial discussions with pilgrims who had gathered at the temple. The President later took part in religious observances at the Ruan Valley Saya. The President also met with the chief incumbent of the Ruan Valley Saya and the acting Atamasthana-adhipati, Venerable Pallegama Hemaratanathero.
On to our developing story tonight. Russian President Vladimir Putin has asked the upper house of the Russian parliament to send Russian troops into Ukraine's Crimea region to normalize the political situation there. Now, the Kremlin notes that President Putin had made the request after taking into consideration the threats to the lives of Russian citizens and Russian military in the region. The request also came hours after the new pro-Moscow leader of Ukraine's autonomous Crimea region requested Putin for help to ensure peace. Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama has warned Russia that there will be costs for any military intervention in Ukraine. The Newsfirst International Desk, which has been closely monitoring the rapidly unfolding developments in the region, filed this 360-degree report.
The United States will stand with the international community in affirming that there will be costs for any military intervention in Ukraine.
A sign that the tensions in Ukraine are far from over. Obama also noted that military intervention in Ukraine would not be in anyone's interest.
Any violation of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity would be deeply destabilizing, which is not in the interest of Ukraine, Russia, or Europe. It would represent a profound interference in matters that must be determined by the Ukrainian people.
Meanwhile, at least 20 men wearing the uniform of Russia's Black Sea Fleet and carrying automatic rifles positioned themselves by a Ukrainian border guard post in Balaklava district of Sevastopol, Crimea, yesterday. The Ukrainian media, citing local officials, said 13 Russian aircraft carrying nearly 2,000 suspected troops had landed at a military airbase near Simferopol. The report remains unconfirmed. Yesterday, Ukraine's acting president, Alexander Turchinov, said that Russia had begun an overtly aggressive campaign against Ukraine.
The Russian Federation has begun an overtly aggressive campaign against our country. Under the pretense of military training, they have brought military force in the autonomous Republic of Crimea and have not only captured the parliament and cabinet of ministers, they are also attempting to take control of civilian strategic points such as communications. They are trying to block the local Ukrainian military forces.
Meanwhile, Russia's UN ambassador Vitaly Churkin said yesterday that any Russian military movements in Crimea are in keeping with Moscow's existing arrangement with Ukraine on the deployment of military assets in the former Soviet Republic.
Well, of course, as you know, we have an agreement with Ukraine on the presence of the Russian Black Sea Fleet with a base in Sebastopol, and we're acting within the framework of that agreement. They need to refrain from conducting a hasty presidential election, which most likely is going to create more friction within the country. They need to stop trying to intimidate other regions and other political forces.
Ukraine's UN ambassador Yuri Sergeyev said he had sought the assistance of the Security Council.
We asked the Security Council to consider the situation in Ukraine as seriously as it is and to undertake the appropriate measures to assist us to stop the dangerous developments which are challenging the international peace and challenging our territorial integrity.
Ukraine's political crisis began in November when deposed President Viktor Yanukovych rejected a trade deal with the EU in favor of a similar agreement with Russia. The move brought thousands of Western-leaning protesters out onto the streets, calling for his resignation and closer ties with the European Union. Since he was deposed, tensions have shifted to Crimea, where the majority of the population are ethnic Russians. Now, the latest reports coming in from Russia indicate that the Russian Upper House of Parliament has approved the potential use of military force in Ukraine. Newsfirst will continue to keep you up to date as and when developments unfold. Now, the Press Trust of India reports that Indian Shipping Minister G.K. Vasan has expressed statements which demand a review of the Indo-Sri Lankan agreement on Kachathivu.
Indian Minister G.K. Vasan, speaking to the media, had stated that the fishing community as well as the public of Tamil Nadu state support a review of the agreement. Earlier this week, the AIADMK party in its manifesto stated that it will take necessary steps to retrieve Kachathivu Island. However, the central government is of the stance that Kachathivu cannot be retrieved as no territory belonging to India was ceded nor sovereignty relinquished to Sri Lanka. Kachathivu is an uninhabited island located around 9 miles off the south of the Delft Islands.
Also in news from India, the head of India's Sahara Group, Subrata Roy, was sent to police custody till the 4th of March yesterday after he turned himself in following a Supreme Court warrant against him for not appearing in a case linked to his alleged failure to return a sum of 240 billion Indian rupees to over 30 million small investors. Now, Roy spent the night at a forest guest house in Kukrail, 9 kilometers from Lucknow. His lawyers had requested for house arrest.
The Sahara chief was arrested at his sprawling estate in Lucknow. A city court that waited 3 hours last evening for Roy to appear sent him to police custody till Tuesday, the day the Supreme Court wants him produced before them, but his lawyers say the police can decide whether to accept his request for house arrest till then. The Sahara chief has repeatedly cited his 92-year-old mother's illness for not appearing in court and had also asked to be kept under house arrest so he could be by her side. The Sahara Group has vast real estate holdings and interests in media companies and hotels. Roy, who calls himself its chief guardian, says he had returned all but 20 billion rupees to investors and more than 100 truckloads of receipts had been given to the Securities and Exchange Board of India.
Well, there are only 28 more days for the Western and Southern Provincial Council polls. The intensity of political campaigns is on the rise as the decisive day draws closer. Now, here are some of the views that were expressed in the political arena.
The people who speak about good governance are the same ones whose candidates raid jewelry stores and who use LTTE money from overseas to file cases. There are various political parties that are contesting for the Western Provincial Council polls. The UPFA camp is present along with the UNP, JVP and Democratic Party camps. However, of these camps, there is clearly only one patriotic camp, and that is the UPFA.
This government is lacking in vitamin B and the UNP is not capable of providing it because even they suffer from the same disease. They too lack vitamin B. It is only the JVP that remains fit with no deficiencies.
There are a lot of candidates these days.
කොටින්ම කියනවා නම් වැසිකිලි යන්නවත් විදියක් නැහැ. අපේක්ෂකයෝ. වෙලාවකට මල කරුමයන් මුන් ටික.
I have never seen some of the people, nor have I seen at least a photograph of theirs. In order to cast a vote, these people should have worked for our area or at least donated something.
මගේ නම් ක්‍රමයක් තියෙනවා. ගමට දෙයක් කරලා තියෙන්න ඕන. අඩු ගානේ අපේ ගමේකට වතුර බාල්දියක් කර දීලා තියෙන්න ඕන. අඩු ගානේ මහප්ප හරක් වෙලෙක් කරි වෙන්න ඕනේ. අඩු ගානේ මිනිස්සුන්ට නැත්තම් පරිගුණාර වෙදකම් කරලා තියෙන්න ඕන.
One day, Minister S.P. Dissanayake approached me and asked, "Do you know something?" I responded by saying that you must know a great many things now. He said that our police force is very talented and that they have found out everything that is controversial. He also said that there are several things that remain undiscovered.
You won't find such a people-centric government easily. The UNP can no longer visit the villagers. They cannot come to Kurunegala because they lost Dayasiri. He is my friend, but he scolded me back in the day saying there were rocks in my harbour. I asked him where the rocks are now. He said they are with Ranil.
I did say there was a rock, but now it has been broken. I said there were no ships, but now there are. This is what we do in the opposition. Half of what they say are made up lies. Well, staying on the campaign trail, a new Democratic Party office was declared open in Matakulya today. The party office was declared open today under the auspices of the deputy leader of the Democratic Party, MP Jayantha Katagoda. Democratic Party Colombo District candidate Susil Kindelpitiya was also present at the occasion. Enduring hardship in this way is not something the people should do. It is something that has been given to them by the rulers. Therefore, the people are undergoing hardships. You cannot free yourself of this bad karma by voting for the beetle leaf. The people have been driven to despair. We are making a major sacrifice to free the people of this despair. Although we do not have state media and pro-government media on our side, media institutions like Sirasa, which tell the truth to the people and give news to the people, are with us. We can see the people's sadness. We visited an area of Kulonnava yesterday where the people could not live. I will give you an example. We went to one home where only the mother and daughter were at home. The father had gone to work. They said his monthly salary was 15,000. The rent for the house was 9,000. They only have 7,000 left. They showed us a plate of rice. There was only a brinjal curry and some rice on that plate. This is the true story. We must decide today on whether we are going to change this status quo. And on the other side of the fence, a public rally organized by the UPFA was held in the Waturagama area in Gampaha under the auspices of UPFA Gampaha district candidate, attorney at law Susara Dinal. I see a large female representation here. How many programs have been launched in this area to provide you with an alternative stream of income? The mothers and fathers gathered here need to understand that our district leader, Minister Basil Raj Paksa, is bringing in a lot of funds to the Gampaha district. We need to ensure that these funds are evenly distributed among all of you. A strong political representation is needed for this purpose. That is why you need to elect strong politicians. Now, UNP parliamentarian Sajid Premadasa expressed the following views at a public rally held in Ambalangthotta. We attain no comfort with our victory. We will be relieved only when we gain success through a people-centric victory, when victory is gained through the public's blessings. We do not have state vehicles to carry out political activities, nor do we have state money to spend on posters and cutouts. Everyone from a preschool child to an adult yearns for change. Therefore, I would like to say that we will bring the change that the entire island expects through our journey as a revolutionary political movement in the Hambantota district. Welcome back to the news. The 7th phase of Super Fighter, which aims to unearth hidden amateur boxing talent in the country, began in Panadura today.
Super Fighter.
Over 300 boxers took part in the training camp organized in line with the 7th phase of Super Fighter. Super Fighter, Sri Lanka's first ever sport reality program, is organised by MTV MBC together with MAS Holdings.
This is a good opportunity for children living in rural areas who face numerous difficulties to shine. This is a national endeavour. We thank the Sirasa Media Network for their contribution in uplifting the game of boxing.
Trials to select boxers who will advance to round 2 of Super Fighter program will commence tomorrow. The trials will be carried out under 4 weight categories.
Super Fighter.
Now today is day 2 of the International Dharma Dhamma Conference that is being held in the Indian city of Bhopal, not far from the Dambadiva Sanchi Stupa.
The conference is being held under the theme Serenity, Resources and the Relevance of the Rituals of the Dharma and Dhamma. The Princess of Bhutan Yanchok, Senior Minister Dr. Sarath Amanugama and dignitaries representing about 16 countries including Canada, Australia, America and Bhutan are participating at the International Dharma Dhamma Conference. The President of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Society, Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thera, speaking to Newsfirst from Bhopal, India, said that the progress on the Buddhist university that is to be established in Sanchi and the disciplines that will be studied at the university were among the topics discussed at the conference today. It is also hoped that multilateral dialogue on the activities of the Buddhist University at this conference will help to create an attraction for the university.
The conference commenced this morning with the participation of the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shri Sivaraj Singh Chauhan, the Princess of Bhutan and dignitaries from Sri Lanka including Dr. Sarath Amanugama and the Sri Lankan Ambassador. The Dharma Dhamma conference was held throughout the day today and experts from many countries participated. We are hoping to create a dialogue through this. We hope to obtain the support of consultants and commence various disciplines at the university.
Well, here's something for all the literature aficionados out there. The first book in Reina's Prophecy, a trilogy authored by Radhika Philip, made history when it saw its worldwide launch in Colombo yesterday. Incidentally, this is the first time that a Sri Lankan author has been published through the renowned publishing house HarperCollins.
Radhika Phillips' first novel, Reina's Prophecy, was launched yesterday. The fantasy fiction novel represents the rich biodiversity of the island and follows the adventures of a little girl and the animal kingdom.
When I was reading the book, I wasn't thinking of it as a Sri Lankan book. I was just thinking of it as just a great story, because it's an adventure tale, but it's also a book that works at many levels. It's got layers and layers to it. So I was just really gripped by the tale. Actually, I started reading the book, and I read 3 chapters, and I wrote to her agent, and I said, "You have to send me the rest. I need to know what happens." And now I'm waiting for her to write the sequel because I want to know what happens there.
Well, today is the final day of the Dayata National Development Exhibition. The closing ceremony was held under the auspices of Prime Minister D.M. Jayaraman.
The exhibition spans across 162 acres, including the grounds of the Northwestern University, Technical College and the Kuliapitiya Central College. Organizers state that as of this afternoon, close to 300,000 persons have visited the exhibition. The exhibition will take place till midnight.
The Jeffrey Bawa Trust convened a media briefing today to announce the shortlist of projects that have been selected for the Jeffrey Bawa Award for Excellence in Architecture.
Submissions closed on the 1st of December 2013 with 53 entries being received. The panel of judges have shortlisted 9 submissions for the 2013 and 14 Jeffrey Bawa Award for Excellence in Architecture.
Mr. Jeffrey Bawa, he has created a wealth of buildings which takes into account our own form of traditions, culture, environment and a gentleness and sensitivity which exists in our society. The Jeffrey Bawa Trust is very proud and honored to be able to have these awards once in 3 years so that we would encourage and inspire young architects who would learn from Mr. Bawa, absorb what they feel is important in what Mr. Bawa has done, bring their own imagination and their own initiative to that and be creative of very special pieces of architecture in this country for the future generations.
On to one of our headline-making stories tonight. A mother and father who attempted to abandon their one-month-old infant have been arrested in Suduhumpala, Kandy. The infant was abandoned near a home in Suduhumpala, Kandy at dawn today. The infant was found by the woman who owns the home when she heard the baby's cries in the morning.
The infant was here. The baby had been wrapped in the cloth and abandoned in front of a gate. He was crying, so I carried him.
We opened the gate and carried the child. Then we called the neighbor and asked her to tell the police. The police then came and took the infant away.
Officers of the Kandy police arrived at the location and took the child into protective custody after making inquiries. The police media unit said that a suspicious couple who were in the vicinity were arrested based on information that came to light when inquiries were made. When the couple was interrogated, they revealed that they were in fact the parents and that they had attempted to abandon the infant. The police say that the couple who are employed at a garment factory in Colombo are 23 and 24 years old. The police added that the couple who are residents of Kotagahawatta in Hatton were unmarried. The Kandy magistrate ordered that the infant be housed at the State Children's Home in Peradeniya and ordered that the parents be placed in remand custody. Newsfirst U reporter Bertie Veerasinghe from Negombo filed this report on an accident that occurred in the area today.
An accident occurred in the Peralavatta area along the Colombo-Chilav road last morning. The accident occurred when a SLTV bus collided with a motorcycle. The driver of the motorcycle passed away upon admission to the Negombo General Hospital.
Welcome back to the news. The Special Crimes Unit of the Miriyana Police has arrested 4 more suspects in connection with the theft of cash and jewellery worth 15 million rupees from a pawning centre in Padukka.
The robbery took place at this pawning centre located in the Padukka town on the 12th of February. Newsfirst obtained CCTV footage of the robbery being committed from security cameras which had been fixed at the pawning centre and highlighted the suspects so as to enable easier identification. The police say that 2 soldiers were among the 4 individuals arrested today. The police have seized 2 motorcycles used by the thieves and have also seized 1,870 grams of gold that was stolen by them. Meanwhile, another suspect was arrested today in connection with the theft of 15 million rupees in cash and jewellery from a jewellery shop in Negombo on the 17th of February by armed robbers. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohan has said that the suspect arrested today was one of the 2 armed thieves that carried out the robbery. 4 suspects, including UMP Provincial Council candidate Royce Fernando, have been arrested in connection with this theft thus far.
5 individuals have died in separate incidents of drowning in Valimada, Bandarawala and Trincomalee. The police say that 2 children and a tourist are among the deceased. 2 children aged 11 and 15 who went to bathe in a rock pool in the Alla area in Valimada died this morning.
2 youth who went to bathe in the Pannangal River in Bandarawala died after drowning today. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohan has stated that these 2 individuals drowned when they had gone for a swim with 3 others. The victims have been identified as 18-year-old Sadhu Nupun Kumara, a resident of the Pattigedra Samachettigama area in Bandarawala, and 20-year-old Supun Madhushankar. Our correspondent stated that the 3 survivors had been rescued by area residents. Meanwhile, the body of a tourist who was bathing in the sea close to the Pigeon Islands in Nila Valley, Trincomalee, was found this morning. Our correspondent stated that the deceased has been identified as a 22-year-old Chinese female named Tiangin. She had visited Sri Lanka on the 20th of February. Police investigations had revealed that she had gone diving with the necessary equipment when the incident occurred. Our correspondent stated that the remains of the victim are currently lying at the Nila Valley Hospital for the post-mortem examinations.
And in sports news, it's cricket. Bangladesh's woes in the 2014 Asia Cup continued today as they were beaten by tournament underdogs Afghanistan a short while ago. Now put into bat, Afghanistan posted a competitive total of 254 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in their allotted 50 overs. Asghar Stanikzai top scored for the Afghans with an unbeaten 90, while Samiullah Shenwari chipped in with 81 runs. Arfat Sani bagged 2 wickets for Bangladesh.
But this one has it, it's gone all the way. Oh, great hit, and Stanikzai. We've witnessed it, been absolutely amazing.
It has been wonderful to watch.
On paper, track record 255. Just back ourselves.
Well, an impressive and unorthodox batting performance by the Afghans. Now, Bangladesh, who commenced their run chase, lost their openers within the first 2 overs of their innings. Musfiqur Rahim fell cheaply as well as he was undone for 23 runs. Bangladesh were eventually bowled out for 222 runs in 47.5 overs, handing Afghanistan a 32-run victory.
That'll go one on. Oh, what a shot! Something for the crowd to cheer about.
And that's a wrap of your weekend primetime news bulletin. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us. Remember, you can log on to our website newsfirst.lk to keep abreast of the latest groundbreaking news. I'm Nadim Majid. Good night and good night.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.